Today, I want to give an update on my crypto portfolio, actually. The way that I am doing things, what I'm buying, what I'm selling, what I'm waiting for, mostly waiting for. But a couple updates, actually, and a very cool announcement in this video. So, welcome to the Fomo. No, welcome to Blockchain Decoded, the new channel name, and I will explain to you very soon why it's called Blockchain Decoded, but you are gonna be so happy with that. I can already tell you that. Now, let's get into that later and first look at the market right now. So Bitcoin is back at $118,000, had a small correction to 115, give or take. It's now already higher, right? And what we see more often in this market, though, is that Bitcoin, it moves up, it goes sideways, and it sweeps a certain low before it moves up even further. And then that could happen on a short time frame, that could happen on a longer time frame, and so far it happens on a slightly short time frame. So overall, Bitcoin is kind of going sideways, right? If you look at the 4-hour chart, you can see that it's not really doing that much. And what we have seen in this market so far is that when Bitcoin is not doing that much, altcoins are getting kind of demolished, right? Yeah, if you look at the same time frame for altcoins, you know, they went up harder than Bitcoin and now they went down harder than Bitcoin, but overall they are still at the same level. So that's already the first thing that kind of changed. Usually, again, so far, altcoins just got wrecked whenever Bitcoin goes sideways, but during this last Bitcoin pump, Bitcoin was not the outperformer, right? And mostly ETH was the outperformer, actually. And a an ETH that does well often results in altcoins doing very well as well. So I kind of like what I see so far. This market, it's on the short time frame maybe a little overheated, but on the longer time frame, it looks like. Will these weird 250K predictions maybe actually come true? Right, there are a lot of big predictions out there, and Arthur Hayes, and there are also people that say that Bitcoin will go to $1 million. I don't know if that's gonna happen this cycle though, but I honestly do think that things are changing a little bit. The next bear market will probably by far not be as hard as the bear market that we have seen before this cycle or before the cycle before that, right? Therefore, it is good to have a long-term conviction in Bitcoin and just stick with that. Just stick with that. It will be fine. But in the meantime, there's more money to be made. Can Bitcoin go to 200, 300, maybe even 400K? I'm not here to predict Bitcoin's price, but I will not be surprised if we see these prices. But still, that's like maybe 400K. Best case scenario is a 3.5x from this point, right? Like, yay, that's not what we're doing it for now. We want to be a little bit more degen than that, though. Now, how to be a little bit more degen than that? And make good money with crypto. Well, Ethereum has been the play. I don't know if you remember. By the way, welcome. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you're new. And at the beginning of April, I remember tweeting and posting on YouTube that ETH is basically a brain dead buy, right? It's a brain dead buy. ETH was dead, and of course it wasn't dead, right? Now you'll notice ETH did fantastic. In a matter of a couple months, ETH went up with almost 3x. 3x on the safest altcoin out there. How, right? How? Welcome to bull markets. It's fun. But the hectic, stressful, euphorious type of altcoin bull market, we haven't seen that yet. We for sure have not seen that yet. And there's one chart that shows you exactly the perspective of where we are and what we can potentially expect with that. First, Ethereum on its Bitcoin pair. Every piece of resistance that it had, it's kind of broken so far, right? Ethereum already had some resistance over here, also based on the past, by the way, here. Broke, no problem, right? Then it had, you would have said like, okay, we had big resistors here, we had support here, we had support here. That should mean something. It didn't mean anything except for these 2 days of rejection right here, and then bam, next level. then we had this huge level of 0.0256, give or take, right? Yeah, resistance, resistance, resistance. We had support here. I bet that we had support. Here we had resistance, resistance, a lot of support. Like, bam, broke it. Like, ETH does not give a crap about anything at the moment, right? ETH is on a rampage. And to be honest, I don't know if it's over, actually. Because now we have the next big level of resistance, right? There's so much going on here. You would say like, well, then this is the level, right? You would say that. I don't know what it's going to do in the short term. I have no idea. All I know that so far, again, ETH doesn't really care much about resistance and support. You could say that the RSI on the daily, it's cooling off, right? So yeah, it's like, okay, ETH should come down. Well, it doesn't really mean that. It just means that the momentum is going down. But there are often occasions on other charts as well where you see that the momentum is going down, but where the chart is not really going down much, right? Like, for example, here, it was very overbought as well, very much. Maybe, yeah, kind of the same as where we are right now, actually, right? At this point. And what happened, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, it didn't really correct, right? It did not really correct. This point right here, this was a point where you could say like, okay, there was a decent correction here, right? This point right here, not. You could say like, okay, it's overheated, right? It's going to cool off. ETH should go down. And what happened? It went up. So it's a little hard for me based on that to say like, yeah, okay, the momentum is cooling off. So should the price also go down right now? I don't know. I don't know. My thesis has been, as I said this before, like, I think a lot of people in this market so far, they have seen altcoins pump. Unfortunately, they did not take any profits. They made that mistake once or twice. And they now look at the market and be like, wow, now when it pumps, I'm going to take my profits, right? And then what the market does, it runs even further because the market doesn't like you making money. That's just what it is, right? The market doesn't want us to make money, whatever the market is, right? But it's often not how that works. So, yeah, I truly believe that this run is going to be such a hated run, right? Where we have a lot of sideliners that, were screaming that altcoins were that a couple months ago. Plus the people that now say like, I now took my profits. Good luck. Don't take like too much. I do want to show you an example today of an altcoin that I've just sold for. Today I sold another 40% of my remaining bag, and 1 or 2 weeks ago I sold 30% or something like that. And that's Wild World. Now, why? Well, if you look at this chart, there you can see that it's sitting quite high right now, right? And there's no guarantee that it will go here. I do think that Wild is going to run a lot, but I labeled off, I looked at my CoinGecko transactions, and I labeled off my transactions for Wild. And I just want to show you what I do and take you a little bit into my strategy. So what do you notice? You notice a couple things probably. When I buy, I don't try to look for the bottoms. For sure I don't, right? This was an awful buy actually, right? I'm not trying to look for this and then go bam. No, what I do is I think, where could it go to? Where is it sitting right now? And is it already worth for me to start DCAing in? That's step one. And I don't DCA as in I buy 5 times a day. I buy a little here, right? And I'll wait for it to go lower. Right? And I skip this dip. I skip this dip. I even skip this dip. I skip this dip, right? And only here, I say like, okay, I skipped a lot of dips. I have money left. Now it's a nice time to buy even more. Because if I, why should I buy here? Right? Because if it goes up, I already have my buy. Right? And if I wait, if it goes down, then I can DCA. So often there is some time between my DCAs actually. So my second purchase was here. right? The third was price-wise not that different. Time-wise, however, it was. Sometimes I feel like, hey, we are closer to a certain point in the cycle. Price hasn't changed much. It's maybe a little bit more stable. Let me get another buy-in, right? Then it went a little lower. I don't actually know why I made this purchase right here. Based on my own theory, I should not have made that, but I don't know what I was thinking back then. But then it went even lower. Right, so I bought at 24 cents, right? And that was around this was the bottom area, right? And from that point, my strategy is then not looking at that bag every single day. Nothing much is going to change, hopefully, right? So I just wait. I do other stuff. I work, I whatever. I don't do a lot, right? This last purchase was September 18. And I made my first sell around the first, second week of December, right? A couple months later, actually. I let it run all the way to 73 cents. And there I said, like, hey, compared to my average buy, which I don't know exactly what it was, because I don't know from the top of my head how much I bought here and how much I bought here, but let's say that's somewhere in the middle. I said, like, all right, 2x, cool, I'm going to take money out, right? And then when it was, like, in a confirmed kind of downtrend, I said, like, okay, let me take a little bit more out. So that was already a good trade, right? I took out at least my initials right here in total, right? I had a free bag already. And then it was nicely running down again. And I didn't do anything basically for a long time, right? I sold at around the 30th of December. And my first buy was 3 months later, right? January, February, March, 3 months. Therefore, you don't want to buy every single dip, right? You don't want to say like, oh yeah, it's now down today, 15%. And feel FOMO once it's up 9% and let it play out, man. Let it play out. And in the meantime, what happens? You made your money, you got your initial back, got some profit, and you just see it go down, down, down. And that's what I've been preaching about a lot. You don't feel bad about price going down. In fact, I felt good about it because I was like, okay, cool. Let it go down. Once I feel ready, I'm going to get my buys in again with the free money, right? At a certain point, it was down enough, I guess, right? And I bought at 17, 18 cents again. And later I made another purchase at around 16 cents. And again, for a long time, not doing anything. And now I just noticed, actually I wasn't paying much attention, that I sold it last week somewhere, 2 weeks ago, for 27 cents. I made good profit, actually. And today I looked and I was like, is it 37 cents? I don't look at my portfolio like daily. I just look at Bitcoin, ETH, and the altcoin market. And I have a pretty decent idea how my portfolio is looking. I'm not going to be glued to every individual altcoin. The benefit is that because I don't do that, I was now able to sell at 37 cents, right? If I was looking at Wild, for example, every day, I probably already sold like yesterday or the day before, maybe. I don't know. Right? So today I was looking, I was like, wow, it's good price. I have good profits. Let me take my entire Wild back right now and sell 40% of it. So I just sold it, 40% of it, and now actually in a great position because now I have still a free bag of Wild tokens, plus my initials are out, plus I have pretty decent profit. No way for me to lose anymore, right? That's how I'm kind of treating everything in crypto. And this is a nice win, right? There are also examples where I did not win or did not win like this, right? Or where I lost, whatever. But overall, the point that I'm trying to make is don't trade too much, right? Just, patience, get your buys in at steadily low levels, right? Therefore DCA, because it could go lower. And once it starts going up, just step by step, get out. Don't sell everything at once, right? If I sold everything here at once and now it's at 37 cents, then I would have felt like shit. But now I feel good. But I also feel good if it goes down. I feel good no matter what. Ooh, I feel good. So this is a win. That's what I call a win, actually. A lot of coins are a lot more boring, though. Wild is a relative high risk, low cap coin. I'm not sure how low cap it is right now, though. But it doesn't move as fast as a render or a near or a tau or whatever, right? But that's how I'm treating that. In the meantime, overall, I'm not much into selling mode, actually. I just also, I'm not really into buying mode as well. I had my buying modes, right, at the nice low levels. If you go back to around this area on the channel, you can see as well that I was talking quite a lot about that. And at the December highs, also I said I take my profits, man. I do take my profits, but I'm not really in both modes at the moment. What I am doing though is I'm keeping my eyes on it, and it could be that one coin just pops, right, like wild, and then I feel like, yeah, it could pop more, but maybe not. I don't know. I have profits. Why not taking them, right? Why not taking them? At the moment, I'm still having a pretty decent position in ETH. Also took some profits on ETH actually though, because I just think that a 3x in 3 months, you know, take something out if you have a good entry level at least, right? Take something out. Is this, in my opinion, still the beginning of the entire run that we're going to see? Yeah, but I could be wrong, right? And I don't want to be empty-handed if I'm wrong, right? That's the whole thing about crypto. I have no fucking clue, man. I have no clue what's going to happen, right? It's only that I look at these things and I'll be like, yeah, this is most likely, but it's never a guarantee, right? Yeah, if I look at the Bitcoin dominance, I don't know, man. It could be. I want to be cautious, actually, because I also, to be fair, I called for alt season at the beginning of this year, right? I said end of 2024, beginning 2025 was my base case all along, based on seasonality. Hey, it's a learning process, man. I learned that there's more than seasonality, right? Is this time different, though? I don't think so. It takes a little longer to play out, but look, it's all playing out once again, right? Altcoins, hey, they're dead. No, I guess not. I guess not, right? And it does play out to just buy the real fear, right? Back over here, beginning of April, was here actually. People were scared, really scared. Here, people were scared, right? But if these are these capitulation events, if these are the places where you get your buys in, because you feel like, no, this time is not different, then you are now in this miserable little piece of dead cat bounce pump, already in a position where you can say like, hey, I don't need to play even. I can already take profits out. Yeah, and these profits, you can use them for a lot. I know a lot of people are now talking about farming and liquidity providing on Black Hole. I'm doing the same, actually. I got a pretty good airdrop for Black Hole. I sold these tokens. But I'm also looking to just farm whatever I have, right? I have super. So I felt like, okay, let me sell half of my super for Black and put them in the liquidity pool. And I'm now getting around 150 Black tokens every day, right? Now, how sustainable is that? You would say. I don't know, but so far so good, right? I love it. 150 per day, that's crazy, right? Yeah, so that's what I'm doing so far. And that's the thing with DeFi, you may remember for 2021, like there were crazy APRs, like yeah. That's true. But these were clear Ponzi's. I think that this is a little different than that. Plus, the earlier you are, the lower risk, because you can at a certain point say like, hey guys, cool, I'm taking my initial out, right? And now I have no risk anymore. So now everything that comes in is extra. Plus, if it does collapse for some reason, there's nothing for me to lose. So that's the benefit about being early with this kind of stuff. Um, I also, honestly, for me, I'm just looking like, hey, what is my goal? And I think you should ask yourself the same question. What is your goal? Is your goal to make a 15x from this point? Go and, you know, go into the trenches, man. Go do liquidity farming. Go chase airdrops. Go stake tokens. Go buy a lot of low caps. Try to front run, aka take a lot of risk. Right? For me, it's a little different at this stage. I feel like at this point, walking away with a 2x would be perfect. Well, not perfect, would be great. Walking away with a 3x is somewhat of the goal. And walking away with anything above it is just like that's car money. That's like stupid money, right? That's money that I feel like I don't need that. Just buy something weird, right? I don't care. That's my goal. So I'm gonna base my investment strategy based on my goals, right? I had some people asking like, "Hey, can you make a video about taking profits?" And for sure, I will. But I will apply something different myself though, because I don't. I can say like, hey, I want a 3x from this point. Is the ultimate scenario for me that I would say like, oh, yeah, I'm happy, right? So I can, for example, look at an AVAX at this point and be like, you know what? If I want to walk away with a 3x and I'm DCAing out, then AVAX needs to do a 4x from this point. That's here. And then I'm gonna look at that chart and I'm like, is that doable? This point right here, right? Is $100? Is that doable for AVAX? If the answer is no, then I need to look at something more risky. If the answer is yes, then I feel like, okay, cool. AVAX kind of investments, it is. Because why would I take more risk? Because the downside is, of course, as well that, if the market does turn around, throws us a curveball, if the shit breaks out in the world, if we get into a bear market, whatever, yeah, I can guarantee you that a Citus or a Wilder World or whatever is going to be hit harder than an AVAX. So why should I take that risk if I don't need to take it, because I can make the same rewards with something that doesn't get hit that hard, right? As far as we know, anything could happen, but hey. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm boring, man. I'm boring, but it's the strategy at the moment. I'm getting into stuff like Cardano. Spoke a lot about Cardano. And one of the bigger reasons was that I said like, hey, the Cardano dominance looks scary to me. It looks just simply scary. This chart is absolutely nuts. How similar it looks, right? I've said this before, but this whole part, this cycle, is basically a copy of this, and we are now kind of here, somewhere here, right? When you getting to a bear market, right? Hit this low, bear market, hit this low, up to this level, up to this level. This is artificial by now, right? Going down, find the eventual bottom, right? Stall out. Going down again, find an eventual bottom, stall out. Big massive pump up to this level. Big massive pump up to this level, right? Go down again, create a couple, lower lows. Go down again, create a couple lower lows, and then eventually, bam, right? Are we now in that bam? I don't know. But every single step is repeated like perfectly. I'm not ignoring that, right? Like, that's crazy, actually. Plus, I think the narrative for Cardano is simply like, hey, when retail comes in, they look at Binance, Coinbase, and they be like, oh, Cardano, I know that one, right? And they buy it. That was the narrative last cycle as well, because did Cardano had an actual product? No, right? But who cares, apparently? It did 100x back then, right? So, hey, I'm not saying it will right now. for sure that it doesn't this time, but Forex is also fine for me, right? So there's some wiggle room there. So I'm buying the boring stuff like Cardano, and I got a pretty decent entry actually. I also have Aerodrome, like I said, AVAX, still have some Beam, right? But even buying Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin is again also the same narrative as Cardano, I think. Ethereum, right? Near, Render, Super, right? These coins, they fit my personal goals, and that's enough for me. Apart from that, I feel like, hey, cool. My goal is a 3x, but I want to put myself in a position where it's also possible for me to make more, right? And therefore, I'm also gambling on higher risk stuff, which is way more rewarding. And one of these things is Wild World. This thing did a 4x in 1 month, right? Yeah, great, but I did not go all in on this. Also, not at the bottom, right? So, in theory, again, it's nice, but you want to spread your bags a little bit, right? So I'm still in CDFI, for example. Now, CDFI, hey, does it look good? Yes, I know. But I've said this many times before as well. Launchpads are laggers. People want to make money first on their current bags before they even think about expanding those, right? So why would you go buy new projects if their current portfolio is still underwater? Right? It doesn't make sense. Especially now. ETH is outperforming everything, basically. Why would you buy anything else than ETH in that case, right? Like, that's how we think, and it's very normal. But it's also a fact that if you overlay the altcoin market in total, right, you see that it bottomed in the bear market right here in December 2022. Right? That's why altcoins bottomed. And when did CDFI bottom? September 2023, right? It has a big lag. And that's understandable. And in the meantime, though, the risk that comes with it is also relatively low. I mean, the projects that they launch have a refund policy, right? Most of them. So if it doesn't work out, you get your money back, right? But that's my the deej in me, right? Like that's like I bought into some IDOs that were terrible, right? And most, if not all of them, long term are terrible. But I don't care about long term. I'm the typical Launchpad audience. I buy a Launchpad token so I can participate in the sales, so I can dump them as soon as they come out, and I'm in a profit. I'm not gonna say like, hey, I'm gonna hold it long term, so everybody who participated with me, here's your exit liquidity, right? I'm not a moron. I'm using that to make money as well, of course. Right? So, but there are also winners, big winners, right? ChainGPT, Hypercycle, Cookie DAO, like I don't know. There are too many to call that made insane money as well. But I'm also, yeah, same goes for ChainGPT, by the way. Right? ChainGPT is kind of in the same area, right? Although I think that, yeah, it's harder to say. It's newer, right? Didn't really went to a full bull market yet. And I have some small little gambles here and there. I have some vestings from these pre-sales. I have some nodes running, right? Like, I don't know if you remember, like the end of 2022 or something, I talked about Delesium when we got into that node sale. It was somewhere right here. Token came out, did I don't know how much excess on my initial investment, and maybe even yours if you're an OG on the channel, then came down like crazy. I thought like, okay, nice profit, was a nice run, that's it. Then it did a 60x, and now it's trying to find the real price from what it seems, right? But in the meantime, I'm printing these tokens still. Same goes for Ether. I had a Miri note as well, but you know, I don't know about Miri actually. Same goes for Lumia. Sonic was sorry. Sonic was great from the start as well. Carved it, you know, decent, right? But all passive income, and that's like what I prepared with for this bull market. So it's not like to tell you like, oh, buy these notes right now for sure. Don't buy them right now if they're even still for sale. But just showing my situation for once, really, right? And in the meantime, I'm trying to keep the perspective like, hey, did it even start? Because if I look at the dominance for Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins, and that chart, I said that a couple months ago, it's one of the most interesting charts in my opinion. If you look at that, this chart is basically saying like, hey, down is money in alts, right? I mean, Bitcoin, ETH, and stables. Yeah, what else besides alts is there, right? So if this goes down, then it means money flows into alts. Accumulation phase, uptrend, distribution, downtrend, right? Accumulation, uptrend, distribution. Whenever the downtrend comes, it's been here for a long time. I don't care. I'm not in a rush. All I know is that not being bullish on alts right here is a waste, right? Being bullish on alts right here. I mean, did it pay off a lot? Overall, didn't really. Right? Did it take a long time? Yeah. It requires a lot of patience. Yeah. But eventually, this whole area is still not an area that I would say like, oh, okay, yeah. This chart will break out to the upside and will go up forever, right? Probably not. Right. So, although my whole thesis hasn't really like played out yet time-wise, I'm also feeling like I'm not really in a rush, and this is the best bet to take actually. And then in the meantime, we have seen a pretty decent altcoin run in December, but not an alt season. Right, alt season is really where this thing just goes down to the range lows. Right. Yeah, and now I feel like, okay, that's going to be pretty interesting because, again, this is how much then altcoins will dominate the rest of the market, right? Yeah, the nice thing is if you overlay the total crypto market, then you can see, right, last time altcoins were dominating with that much, yeah, the total crypto market was sitting at max at $2.8 trillion. Right? The market before that, it was even like way lower. It was sitting at $160 billion, right? Now we are not even there yet. And the total market is already touching 4 trillion. So, you know, therefore it's like also, I see people post on Twitter like, whoa, this is going to be the biggest alt season ever. Shut the fuck up. No, it won't be the biggest alt season ever. By far, it won't actually, right? If you look at the alt season chart, as I like to call it actually, you can see that alt season number 1, depending a little bit on when you take it, right? But altcoins against Bitcoin went up 6,300%. In our second alt season, 2021, they went up 400%. You really, we're not going to go up more than 6,000%, right? Probably also not 400. If this was the low, right, and we're going to go up 400%, then this is where we end up, right? I don't know. Good, but I don't know, right? But even if we end up somewhere here, just 200%. And it is by far not the biggest alt season. But the big difference is, though, that here, altcoins will outperform a 120K plus Bitcoin, while here they were outperforming a 30K Bitcoin. Here they were outperforming a 3K Bitcoin. So there is, dollar-wise, a lot more money to flow in. And therefore, we already see alts doing very well, right? You can debate, of course, like if you look at the altcoin chart, the total 3 ES, right? That's just the altcoin market without stables. could say like, yeah, you know, it's been in a very clear uptrend. It's doing fantastic. Right? Then again, that's total market cap, right? It's not the price. We had a lot of inflation on coins and this and that, and we of course have had the scam pump fund that released, which we talked about. Like, I hope you don't buy it. Yeah, guess what happened? Tanked. Dump fun is not fun. And these kind of projects, they kind of fuck it up for everybody, right? But still, overall, if you are not in complete trash, you have alts that do pretty well, actually, right? So far. Right? We have seen a lot of alts doing 5, 10x's in certain periods. Most are still up at least 3, 4x kind of from the bear market lows. While if you look at alt season, again, we are like here. Right? We haven't seen anything that even looks somewhat close to an alt season, well, except that run in November, December, which was pretty briefly actually. And so there's a long way to go actually, and therefore what I'm doing, my strategy, people in the Alpha Factory know, but I have my coins, I have my selling targets. I'm DCing out until I hit my 3x, right? But I'm doing that with 80% of my bags, give or take, right? Because I think that 80% of my altcoins will be enough to give me a 3x. And so I'm gonna leave 20% as a moon bag, and I will see where it goes, right? Because if it's going to be somewhat like 2021 or 2017, then aiming for less than a 15x is just bearish, right? If you would have sold your altcoins in 2021 after doing a 3x, you would have eventually wrecked yourself because you saw the market doing another 30x from that point, right? And you would have probably FOMO back in and lost it anyway. So you always want to keep something, in my opinion, in case things go nuts, because so far they always have gone nuts, right? It's not a guarantee that it will happen again, but it is saying like, hey, there's a very good possibility that it will happen again. So there's that. I'm gonna keep you guys updated on my full strategy actually. But there's something really cool that I partly want to share. And again, that's that this platform is now called Blockchain Decoded. And that name is not from nowhere. I use a lot of platforms in crypto that help me understand investing and trading better, that help me look at the right charts. What is a certain bottom area? What's the time to sell? How much retail is there? But sometimes I look at such a platform and I'll be like, wow, this is actually outdated. This is made by people who maybe should have a little bit more experience in the altcoin market. There's a lot missing. For the last months, I've been working with a team on a platform called Blockchain Decoded. It's gonna release soon, the first version of it. And my goal for the platform was to make a total unexperienced piece of person look at it and be like, I understand that. And the people that are experienced, they can look at it and be like, I understand that. Ooh, cool. I can also see what it is made of, and I can dive deeper into it. And that platform, based on the most accurate, legendary metrics that you will not find anywhere else, will tell you, market is overheated. Ooh, market is really at a low level. Maybe time to buy, maybe time to sell. But on top of that, also, but what to buy? It's time to buy. Okay, cool. And now what? Bitcoin, altcoins, which altcoin? Why? Right? All my experience goes into that platform. And so far, what I've seen, how it so far, wow, that will be the go-to place for crypto investing. And that's going to release, again, hopefully pretty soon. I really hope you're going to enjoy that, and that will be not your financial advisor, but that will be everything you need to make money in this market. That's the whole goal. And I don't think, I dare say, there's a platform that does it slightly better than what we are building. So I'm very excited for that. Let me know down in the comments. If you're still watching, you're a legend. So therefore, let me know down in the comments what you think about that idea. I'm gonna pick one person that can, if you want, help do the first beta test together with the Alpha Factory, so you can get a first glimpse of the project. So guys, thanks for watching. That's it for today. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I'll see you in the next one.